If you've ever considered starting your own business, then this video is going to save you a ton of time, money, and pain. Because what I'm going to be doing is differentiate people that are successful and entrepreneurs who start and then burn out and end up back in their 9-to-5 or in a worse position than when they started out. And these are things that apply across the board, no matter what your background is, how old you are, what type of business you're trying to start. These are things that I've seen apply to billionaires, to entrepreneurs that are just starting out. Maybe they'll apply to you too, and you can ask yourself these questions as we go through. If you don't know who I am, my name is Chris Ekman. I've done over $25 million in e-commerce sales, and I'm making these videos to share some of the lessons that I've learned along the way that were pretty painful to hopefully help somebody else avoid them. So without further ado, let's get into it. When we're talking about mindset, why is it important? Like, why should we care? And it's something that gets thrown around a lot. Not many people take time to define it. Inspiration, motivation, and then mindset. Mindset is the one that really matters and carries you through. Like, anybody can get hyped up after watching a motivation video, on fire for the next couple of days, but then that always burns out. Dedication, I heard it defined by somebody as doing the things you said you were going to do long after the mood in which you said it has left you. And if you can get your mindset right, then there's nothing that the business can throw at you that you're not going to be able to handle. This is also more important now than ever because in today's day and age where everyone is fighting for our attention, you can't log onto a computer or your phone or really just wake up in the morning without getting notifications and bombarded with messages and emails, people all fighting for space up here. They want a piece of your mindset because that's super valuable. That's how companies make money, especially as you're trying to start a business. Locking down your mindset to be as laser focused as possible is an absolute must. Successful entrepreneurs are not successful because they're able to get through the good times. The positives, that's the easy stuff. When ads are running well and sales are coming in, anybody can be an entrepreneur then. That's what everyone pictures getting into it. But the reality is so much different than that. Successful entrepreneurs are the ones that are able to get through the hard times. It's just going to be peaks and troughs, highs and lows. The bottom from here down, those are the times that decide if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur or if you're going to be one of the people that burn out. Honestly, it's not for everyone. And that's part of why I'm making this video is to determine if you're the kind of person this is right for. There's no shame in it either way. It's just a matter of being completely honest with yourself and self-aware and deciding, is this what I can see myself doing? And that's the purpose of this video, is to ask the hard questions and to see if you align with character traits that the top 1% of entrepreneurs exhibit. There's two different types of entrepreneurs. There's the entrepreneur, like the business owner, the person that is willing to do anything to be successful. And then there's the entrepreneur. A entrepreneur is simply that. There's somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur, but want it for all the wrong reasons. They're motivated by the short-term wins and are not ready to go to war to make their business successful. They are not the people that have decided, come hell or high water, I'm going to make this work. Everyone who starts a business or is thinking about it, they think of themselves as an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner. I was the same way when I got started. I thought that I was a hot shit because I had my own LLC, EIN, and I was yeah, I made it. I hadn't done anything. You have to fall in love with what you're doing. Even if you're not in love with the product you're selling or the service, you just have to fall in love with the process, really. Another attribute of the entrepreneur is they tell everybody what they're doing. As soon as they start a business, they start bragging about it to all their friends, even though they've done nothing so far. It shows that they are really in it for building their reputation, or they're doing it for what other people think of them and not for themselves. This type of person also flakes out as soon as things get hard. The first day of their ads dropping off or their client firing them or no sales are coming in, that's when they are I don't know if this is right for me, and they end up bailing. The biggest difference between an entrepreneur and a entrepreneur is the entrepreneur doesn't take full 110% accountability for themselves and their own situation. If they fail or something goes wrong, they're immediately pointing the finger, saying that, oh, it was that guy's fault. It's not my fault that the business failed. And those types of people that are always pointing the finger are never going to be able to personally grow in life, because as long as they're letting exterior factors contribute to their own success and they're not taking full accountability for it, they're never going to be able to change. They're never going to be able to grow. Whereas on the flip side, the entrepreneur takes full accountability. They think that everything is their fault. In seeing everything as your fault, that's your opportunity to grow. And so that brings us to entrepreneurs. And what are the key character traits that they exhibit? So the first thing is that an entrepreneur has the ruthless mindset. Come hell or high water, I'm going to make this thing work. Doesn't matter if it's this business or the next business, I'm going to make this thing work. There's a good quote about it that summarizes entrepreneurs as people that are willing to work 80 hours a week for 5 years to avoid working 40 hours a week for the rest of their life. These people also have a win or grow type mentality. When something happens in the business, they either see it as a win, or if it's something negative, then it's an opportunity for them to grow and learn from it and to be better for next time, or it's an opportunity for the business and their team to grow and to learn something new that they didn't. Whereas the entrepreneur, they see that as bad stuff always happens to me, and they just have a very negative outlook on things. The entrepreneur sees it as we either win or we grow type mentality. And this isn't always easy. There's a lot of times where it's really, really hard to find the silver lining, but those are the times that you need to find it the most. And then the last thing that differentiates an entrepreneur from one entrepreneur is the entrepreneur sees business as a long game, and they aren't trying to just take the quick wins and expecting like the results to just come to them immediately. They know that there's a price to be paid. That price is the reason that not everybody's an entrepreneur. And you can almost be thankful for it in a way. Like when times are tough, that's the reason why there's not 10 times as many e-commerce businesses or consulting businesses. And it's almost a good thing in a way, because then there'd be so much more competition to deal with. So again, it's just back to that positive outlook on things. It's so crucial. And the tricky thing about it is that not many people are self-aware of like what is their outlook on life. Like you could ask somebody like, are you a positive person or negative? They'd be like, oh yeah, I'm pretty positive. But like, are they really? Like when the going gets tough, are they the kind of person that is going to buckle down, still be able to find the silver lining and like the positive outlook on things? And while it's like okay to get motivated by things like the shiny car and like everyone wants like their family to be proud of them, that kind of thing, the real reasons for starting the business need to come from yourself. The first way to make sure that you are an entrepreneur and not a entrepreneur, number one, by having a strong why. At the end of the day, when everything's torn down, what is that thing that like deep down is just going to keep you motivated? It helps to have two different whys. One why that is, you can call it Hell Island, which is like, what's the thing you're trying to get away from? What is the pain that is so painful to you that you have to get away from it and you can't imagine it if your life continues this way? And then Heaven Island, what's the thing they're trying to get to? What's the thing that's so awesome and excites you so much that you have to go and do that? My Hell Island was the pain of being in a 9-to-5 that I was going to take right after graduating college, being there in 30, 40 years in the same spot. That just seemed unbearable to me. Then on the flip side, Heaven Island was like all the possibilities of like the freedom I could have, like being able to go anywhere and do anything that I wanted, being able to help out my family and making like money never an issue for anybody. It really made a huge difference having those two things motivating me. And the second thing is, what are the things that you're willing to sacrifice in your life in order to be successful at running your business or starting whatever your venture is? This is a really tough one that like I still struggle with to this day, but being self-aware of the fact that like if you want to do something, like there normally has to be something on the flip side that is sacrificed. Like to start a business and for it to be successful, like especially in the beginning, there's a massive learning curve. That takes a lot of time to get over. Where is that time going to come from? It's not a good idea to like sacrifice your sleep. It would be a good idea to like give up watching TV or playing video games. Being really honest with yourself and say like, all right, right now I play 1 to 2 hours of video games a day. Would I be okay with no video games and putting that time towards a business? And like really, really picture that. Realize like there are sacrifices that need to happen, and then be even more honest with yourself and say, would I be willing to do that 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 5 years? Whatever you're locking in for, should be considering it at least a 3 to 4 year endeavor. Am I willing to like irrevocably change my life for the next 3 or 4 years, like make massive lifestyle changes? And if the answer is no, that's okay. You need to be brutally honest with yourself. And that self-awareness is the thing that can help you avoid starting down a path that's really not meant for you, and it's just going to end up with you like in a more painful spot than you are right now. And the third thing to make sure that you end up being an entrepreneur instead of a entrepreneur is taking massive action. It's all fine and well to hoard information and to like brainstorm and like pontificate on like what's my why and like all that stuff. That stuff is all super important. That's why I made this video. But the third and final thing that differentiates successful entrepreneurs from entrepreneurs, they're the type of people that get out there and they just start doing. Yes, they research and gather all the information they can and like listen to other people's perspectives and podcasts and stuff and reading books. That's all great. I'm all for that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to putting rubber meets road and actually starting. and taking steps, and not just taking notes or making a 1,100 page Google Doc with everything you're researching. It means like actually getting out there and starting the business. I know this for a fact because this is the opposite of what I did in the beginning. I got analysis paralysis and I just sat there with my notepad writing everything I could possibly learn, and I wasted like 6 months. It wasn't until I actually finally started that I realized that, hey, all that stuff I was learning is actually useless. I had no frame of reference to put it into. Whereas if I had taken that 6 months and spent like a week or two learning and researching, and then at the same time started taking massive action, I would have been on a completely different trajectory. And as a side note, it's not a perfect science. Like, there are days that I don't feel like working at all and I just want to like veg out on the couch, and that's fine. But the exercise I put myself through is I make sure that I'm at least aware of like, all right, I'm not being productive. I am, taking this time for me, and then tomorrow I'm back at it. Just being aware of that trade-off in my mind is key. And so there you have it. Those are the 3 key lessons that I've learned that differentiate an entrepreneur from a entrepreneur. Now, what I would recommend as a follow-up to watching this video is ask yourself, where do you fall in these 3 categories? Are you really clear on your why, or is your why just look like a Lambo on your Instagram page? If that's it, like, cool, but I recommend having something stronger and like more meaningful. Ask yourself, like, are you truly willing to make sacrifices? Like, are you willing to eat for an extended period of time in order to make this happen? And if you're not, that's cool, but like, I wouldn't recommend starting your own business. It's like one of the most challenging things I've ever had to do. And then the third thing, are you taking massive action? Whatever that looks like for you. It's different for every business, for different positions you're in. Just being honest with yourself. Are you taking massive action right now? Or are you kind of like turtling up and just gathering your PDFs and notepads and stuff? Like, and are you like really not making any real progress? Like, somebody on the outside looking in, is there progress being made? And just ask yourself that. But anyway, I hope this has been helpful. If you want more trainings and stuff like this, I have a bunch of free stuff on my website. You can just go to chrisekman.org, and I've put everything there that I know about e-commerce and starting a business that hopefully it'll be useful to you. And if you like content like this, then be sure to hit the subscribe button. And I post pretty frequently. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.